Well, all week long, we've been talking about the overview of the book of Galatians. And here's what the whole thing is about. When we're thinking about the relationship between our salvation through grace or a salvation of works, and how do we think about our behaviors after we're saved? How do we think about our behaviors before we're saved? This whole thing is really about embracing our identity in Christ. It's really about knowing. It's the thing that I told John that you have heard me say if you're a WestWay person. It's the thing that you've heard me say, I don't know, 7 times. I would drop John off at school every morning when we lived in Worthington, Minnesota, and I would say, John, remember who you are and remember whose you are. This is really about knowing our identity, knowing who we are in Christ, and remembering that we belong to Christ. And when we remember who we are and we remember whose we are, then that is going to impact and affect the way that we live our lives. We are going to be, as I said the other day, we're going to be transformed into the kind of people who want to love the Lord our God with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength, and who want to love our neighbor as ourselves. That doesn't mean we're going to do those things perfectly, because we're still people. Paul talks about that in the book of Romans, where we do the things we don't want to do. We don't do the things we want to do. There's a lot of tension in that. But this whole week and this whole book, honestly, can really be wrapped up in who are we? Are we people who have been transformed by Christ or not? And if we have been transformed by Christ, then what we're going to do is we're going to embrace that identity in him. Galatians 4:7 says this: Now you are no longer a slave, but God's own child. And since you are his child, God has made you his heir. So what we want to do is we want to live like heirs. We don't want to live like slaves to our sin, slaves to our old ways, slaves to our desires. In chapter 5, Paul talks about that beginning in verse 19. When you follow the desires of your sinful nature, the results are clear. And he lists all of those things off. Now that we have a new identity in Christ, and that identity is heir, those behaviors that Paul lists in chapter 5, verse 19, those are slave behaviors. That's the way people act who have no control over what they do, who they are, how they behave. That's also an Ephesians 2 thing. Now that we are sons, children, heirs, we embrace that identity and we are motivated. We desire to live differently. Again, imperfectly, but we desire to live differently. I'm really excited to jump into this whole book with you. This week, again, has just kind of been summary, big picture overview, what is going on in Galatia. And that's why we're going to spend the next several months going through this letter together. I want you to know I love you, praying with you, praying for you, and I'm praying that you will remember who you are and whose you are, that you will embrace your identity in Christ and in what he's done for you. We'll talk to you again soon.